Hello and welcome back. We have been on quite a journey recently.
We really have.
We spent the last few weeks wading through what I can only describe as a dense intellectual thicket.
Thicket is a good word for it, yes.
We've unpacked 24 parts of the master key system. We've dealt with, that Victorian era phrasing, metaphysical concepts, the science of thought, some pretty heavy stuff.
It has been a marathon.
Yeah.
We've gone from the very abstract, like the universal mind, all the way down to the specific physiology of the solar plexus.
And honestly, at times, it felt a bit like we were stuck in a library, a very dusty, very serious library.
Right.
But today, the vibe changes. We are done with the theory. We're closing the books. Today is about moving from the library to the job site.
Ah, I like that.
We're shifting from studying the architecture to actually pouring the concrete.
That is the perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Because you can stare at blueprints for 20 years, but if you never pick up a shovel, you don't have a house.
You just have paper.
You just have a piece of paper and, a lot of dreams.
Exactly. And I think that's the trap a lot of people fall into with this kind of material. We've been talking about this concept of the world within creating the world without. And I'll be honest, even after all our discussions, for a lot of people, that still sounds magical.
It does. It sounds a little bit woo.
It sounds like sit on the couch, squeeze your eyes shut, visualize a red Ferrari, and then, check the driveway.
Right. The cosmic waiter theory of the universe. Just place your order and wait for it to show up.
And we are here to say that is not it. That is not what Charles Hannell wrote. It's not what the sources say. As we close this series, we really want to ground this. It's not about magic. It is about engineering.
Charles Hannell was a businessman. He was a pragmatic guy. He didn't view this as some wish fulfillment program. He saw it as a rigorous discipline of cause and effect.
Right.
And the core message we want to land today, the mission of this entire conversation, is that you are either the architect of your own existence, or you are what the ancient texts call a puppet of circumstance.
A puppet.
Yeah.
Wow. That is a visceral image to kick us off.
It's strong, but it's necessary. It's not meant to be insulting. It's meant to be a wake-up call. The source materials is very clear on this. Without a system, without a master key, we're not really making choices.
We're just reacting.
We're reacting. We're being pulled by strings we don't even see.
Strings like what, exactly?
Our old habits, the environment we wake up in, the opinions of our coworkers, our sudden emotional reactions to traffic or the news. I mean, if you're not writing the script, someone else is writing it for you.
So today is about cutting those strings.
It's about taking the pen back.
I love that. We're going to break down exactly how to do that. We have a daily method to get through. But before we get into the nuts and bolts of how to actually engineer this change, I have a small request. If this episode helps you, please hit like and subscribe for the next one.
So let's look at our stack for today. We're not just relying on Hannell here. We've pulled from the Dhammapada, the Tao Te Ching, some modern behavioral science, and even some Stoic philosophy.
So we're synthesizing.
Our goal is to synthesize all of these different angles into one single, repeatable daily method.
Because the biggest question I have, and I know the listener has, is, okay, I get it, thoughts are things, but what do I actually do on a Tuesday morning when I'm tired, the coffee machine is broken, and I'm late for work?
That is the litmus test. If it doesn't work on a bad Tuesday, it doesn't work. We're going to distill the entire system into plain English. We're going to identify the specific force that makes us fail, which we call the drift, and then we're going to walk through a guided exercise to lock it in.
Oh, okay, let's jump in. The full system in plain English. If you had to strip away all the Victorian lace and the complex vocabulary, what is the engine driving this whole philosophy?
We start where the system starts, with the watchman at the gate.
The watchman. We've touched on this, but let's go deeper. What does this actually mean in practice?
This is the faculty of attention. In the source material, Hannell is absolutely adamant about this. You cannot control your life if you can't control what enters your mind. He describes the conscious mind as a watchman. Its entire job is to stand at the door of your subconscious and say, you can come in, or no, you stay out.
Okay, but playing devil's advocate here, isn't that exhausting? I mean, we have thousands of thoughts a day. If I have to stop and frisk every single thought that crosses my mind, I'm going to be burnt out by noon.
That's a valid fear, and it's where most people get attention wrong. They think it means hypervigilance. They think it means straining. But let's look at one of our other sources here. The story of the Buddha and the Tampura strings.
I remember this one. The musical instrument, right?
Yes, There's a beautiful anecdote where a musician is trying to reach enlightenment, and he's straining so hard, trying to force his mind into focus. And the Buddha asks him, when you tune your instrument, what happens if the string is too loose?
It makes no sound.
The musician says, it makes no sound. Then the Buddha asks, what happens if the string is too tight?
It snaps.
Exactly. It snaps.
Yeah.
Attention requires that same balance. It's not about furrowing your brow and staring at a wall until you pass out. It's a calm, steady tension. It's the ability to exclude the noise without fighting it.
So it's the difference between a scattered light bulb that lights up everything weakly and
A laser beam.
a laser beam that cuts through steel. Both use energy, but only one is directed.
Correct. And in our modern context, the watchman is mostly asleep. We let notifications, headlines, and other people's anxieties walk right through the front door and trash the place. So the first step of the system is just waking the watchman up.
Okay, so the watchman is awake. He's at the gate. Now what? You can't just stand there guarding an empty room.
Right. You need a blueprint. This brings us to the second pillar, the ideal. You cannot build without a plan. Hanel calls this the ideal.
Now, I want to drill down on this because ideal is a vague word. Is this a goal? Is this I want $1 million or I want a promotion?
No. And this is the most critical distinction in the entire system. The ideal is not a wish list of possessions. It's a claim of identity.
An identity.
It's about character.
Character. That feels very old school.
It is, but it's supported by modern science. There's this study in our notes here on identity-based motivation. Researchers found that when people set goals based on having things like, I want to lose 10 pounds, they usually fail when things get hard.
Because the goal feels separate from them.
External. Exactly. But when they framed the goal as an identity, I am a healthy person, their persistence went through the roof. We do things because they align with who we believe we are.
So instead of saying, I want to be rich, the ideal is something like, I am a person of value and abundance.
Or, I am a decisive leader. Or, I am a kind partner. The source material references the Greek concept of arraigned, or excellence. Character is destiny. The ideal is the mental blueprint of the person you intend to be. If you get the character right, if you build the mold correctly, the external results follow as natural consequences.
So we have attention the tool, we have the ideal, the blueprint. Now comes the part where I think people get the most confused, visualization.
Yes.
The viewer. Because when people hear visualization, they think of daydreaming. They think of escaping reality, like, my life is a mess, so I'm going to close my eyes and pretend I'm on a yacht.
And that is the chap. That's the woo version that gives this stuff a bad name. That's fantasy, not visualization. Fantasy is an escape from life. Visualization is a preparation for life.
So what's the difference in the system?
The difference is action. We have to connect this to that ancient text, faith without works is dead.
That's a heavy line. Dead.
It means it has no life force. Visualization creates the mold. It creates the mental container. But action is what pours the concrete into that container. You must connect inner direction with outer proof.
Inner direction plus outer proof. I like that equation. It makes it sound mechanical.
It is mechanical. Think of it this way. If you visualize yourself as a courageous person, that's your inner direction. You see it, you feel it. But then, 10 minutes later, you have a chance to speak up in a meeting, and you stay silent.
You just broke the mold.
You destroyed it. You proved to your subconscious that you're a liar. You signaled that the visualization was just a daydream. But if you speak up, even if your voice shakes, you have provided outer proof.
You've bridged the gap.
You've bridged the gap. And the action isn't just about getting the result. It's about proving to yourself that the visualization is true.
So it's about integrity.
Precisely. The bridge between the world within and the world without is integrity. When your actions match your mental blueprint, you create a powerful current. That is what Hanel means by the law of cause and effect.
Which is our fourth pillar.
Yes, the governing law, cause and effect. Hanel uses agricultural metaphors constantly. If you plant a seed as thought or an action, it must grow. It has no choice.
Right.
Nature doesn't discriminate. If you plant poison ivy, the soil doesn't say, hey, I don't think you want this. It just grows poison ivy.
And if you plant corn, you get corn.
Right. And consistency is the water.
This is where I think people get frustrated. They say, I thought positive thoughts all morning, but my day still sucked.
That's like watering the corn for 5 minutes, then digging it up to see if it has ears yet. Or worse, it's like watering the corn in the morning and then pouring bleach on it in the afternoon.
The bleach being our negative self-talk, our complaining.
Negative talk, fear, gossip, doom scrolling.
Yeah.
If you're thinking thoughts of fear and scarcity all day, you're essentially watering a garden of weeds. and then wondering why you don't have any flowers.
This brings us to the real problem then. If the system is so logical, attention, ideal, action, consistency, why is it so hard? Why do we fail?
We fail because of the drift.
The drift. Okay. This sounds like the villain in a movie, but it's very real. Let's unpack this.
The drift is the entropy of life. There's a source we have from the Dhammapada, the ancient Buddhist text. It describes the human being as a painted puppet, a city of bones held together by tension. It's a very stark image.
That puppet.
Yes. The idea is that we are biological machines pulled by strings we didn't create. Biology, evolution, society.
So when I sit down to work on my ideal, but then I feel a little tired, or I get a notification, or I just feel a sudden wave of, I don't want to do this.
That is the puppet string being pulled. That is the drift. Think of the drift like a shopping cart with a wobbly wheel. You know the one?
Ugh, I hate that cart. I always get it.
You're trying to push it straight down the aisle to get your eggs. But every time you take your hand off the handle, or even just loosen your grip, what does it do?
It veers hard to the left, usually into a display of wine bottles.
Exactly. It violently veers off course. That's your brain on default mode. Your brain wants to conserve energy. It wants the dopamine hit of the phone. It wants the safety of the old habit. It does not want to do the hard work of building a new life.
So the drift isn't us being bad people, it's just physics. It's the path of least resistance.
It's biology and physics.
Mm.
And we have sources here from modern psychology, specifically on implementation intentions. They found that good intentions just wanting to change usually fail against the drift. You need a structure to hold the wheel straight.
How do I know if I'm drifting? I mean, sometimes it feels like I'm working hard, but I'm actually just spinning my wheels. What are the symptoms?
There are three main symptoms to look out for. The first is scattered attention.
Starting 5 projects and finishing none.
Yes. You're busy. You're moving papers around. You're checking emails. You're like a rocking chair, lots of motion, but you are not going anywhere. That's a classic sign the watchman is asleep.
Guilty. What's the second symptom?
Contradiction. This is the big one. This is where your signals are crossed. You're thinking wealth in your quiet time, but you're acting out of fear when the bill comes. You're visualizing health, but you're eating junk food because you're stressed.
So the subconscious gets 2 different messages. I am healthy and I eat junk.
And because the action, the eating is more visceral, more real, the subconscious believes the action. It ignores the thought.
And then the third symptom.
Quitting. This is the lack of consistency. This is when you dig up the seed to see if it's growing. You visualize for 3 days, you don't see results. So you say, this doesn't work, and you stop.
That brings us to the solution. If the drift is the disease and it's natural and biological, what is the cure?
Structure. The antidote to drift is a repeatable daily method. You can't just try harder. Willpower is a battery and it runs out. You need a system. You need small, non-negotiable actions that anchor you. You need to drive a stake into the ground that says, I am here. This is who I am.
Let's make this real. We've been in the theory for a while. I want to look at 3 practical examples of how this applies to real life, because our listeners are dealing with real problems: bad bosses, messy relationships, bad habits. Let's talk work, relationships, and habits.
Perfect. Let's start with work.
Okay, example 1. Someone feels completely overwhelmed, stuck in a job, 1,000 emails, feels ignored by their boss, and they're just drifting, reacting to fires all day. How do they apply the master key?
First, they have to stop the panic. That's the watchman. They have to realize that the overwhelm is just noise. Then they define the ideal. But remember, the ideal is not, I want my inbox to be empty.
Right. That's a task, not an ideal.
So the ideal is an identity. I am a decisive leader, or I am a calm architect of my work.
I'm a decisive leader. I like that. It changes the posture.
Right. Now, they need the single next action. What is the one thing that a decisive leader would do right now? Not 10 things. One thing.
Maybe it's sending that proposal they've been procrastinating on because they were afraid it wasn't perfect.
Exactly. And then, this is the crucial part. They must do it immediately. This is the faith without works part. By taking that action, they prove to themselves that the ideal is real. They bridge the inner and the outer.
So they aren't clearing their whole inbox, they're just doing one act of leadership.
And that one act cuts the string of the puppet. They're no longer reacting to emails, they're acting from their ideal.
Okay, example 2. Relationships. This is where it gets messy. Dealing with conflict. A difficult family member, a rebellious teenager, a partner, just constant friction.
Relationships are where the world within is tested the most, because other people have free will. The common mistake here is to try to use the master key to change the other person.
I am visualizing my husband doing the dishes.
Right. That's manipulation, not creation. That's trying to change the reflection in the mirror by scrubbing the glass. It never works.
So what's the method here?
It starts with harmony. In your mental blueprint, you visualize the interaction going well before it happens. You see the person, but more importantly, you see yourself staying calm. You pre-rehearse your own emotional regulation.
But what if they're still difficult? What if you stay calm and they start yelling?
Then you practice repair and boundaries. There's a great note here from the Tao Te Ching about water. It says, water flows, it doesn't resist, yet it conquers all.
That sounds nice, but how does that apply to a shouting match?
It means you don't match their chaotic energy.
Mm-hmm.
If they yell and you yell back, you have both drifted. You are both puppets being pulled by anger. The water analogy means you flow around the obstacle. You hold your ideal of peace.
And if there's a rupture?
A fight. You be the first to repair. You offer the olive branch, not because you are weak, but because you are the architect of the relationship. And regarding boundaries, we have to distinguish between controlling behavior and boundaries.
What's the difference?
A boundary is not telling them what to do. It's telling yourself what you will tolerate. You can't talk to me like that is a command. They can ignore it. I will leave the room if you yell is a boundary. It's an action you take.
That is a key distinction. It puts the control back in your hands. It's not about controlling them. It's about governing yourself.
Exactly. That is a master key. You are the master of your own house.
Okay, example 3. Habits. Breaking a bad habit. Let's say doom scrolling or late night snacking. The things we do on autopilot.
This brings us to choice architecture. There's a study in the notes about a hospital cafeteria. They wanted people to drink more water and less soda. They didn't lecture anyone. They didn't put up posters.
What did they do?
They just moved the water bottles to eye level and hid the soda in the back. Sales of water went up 25%.
So they changed the environment to defeat the drift.
Yes. If you're doom scrolling, the ideal is I am focused. But the drift is powerful. The phone is engineered to be addictive. So the action is change the architecture. Put the phone in the other room. Buy an alarm clock so the phone isn't by your bed.
You make it harder to drift and easier to act.
And you must use replacement causes. Hanel says you can't just remove a thought or a habit, you have to replace it. You can't just stare at the wall and say, don't eat the cookie.
It just makes me think about the cookie more.
Exactly. Nature abhors a vacuum. You have to fill it. Eat an apple, go for a walk, do 10 push-ups. You have to replace the lower interest with a higher one.
All right, we have the theory, we have the examples. Now I want to get to the core of this whole conversation, the guided exercise. We promised a master key daily method.
Yes, this is where the rubber meets the road.
I want to walk through this step by step. I want our listener to be able to do this tomorrow morning, or right now. It shouldn't take an hour, right?
No. 5 to 10 minutes. The key is intensity, not duration. It's about locking in the frequency for the day.
Okay, let's do this. Step 1.
Step 1, quiet the body. This comes straight from Hanel's early chapters. He says you cannot control the mind if you cannot control the muscles. So sit still. Inhibit all physical movement.
Just sit.
Just sit. But here's the challenge. If your foot itches, don't scratch it. If you want to shift your weight, don't. If you want to tap your finger, stop.
That is surprisingly annoying.
It is. But you're proving to your nervous system that you are in charge. You are the watchman. You're taming the animal.
Okay, I'm sitting still. I'm not scratching my nose. Step 2.
Step 2. Choose your ideal for today. Just for today. Don't try to solve your whole life. Pick one word or phrase that represents who you need to be today.
Give me some examples.
Courage, focus, kindness, efficiency, calm.
Okay, I'm going to pick focus. Just one word.
Just one. Focus is about exclusion. If you pick 10 words, you have picked 0. You need a laser beam, remember?
Got it.
Yeah.
Focus. Step 3.
Step 3. Picture the outcome. Close your eyes and see one specific event that's going to happen today. Maybe it's that writing project you have to do. See it going perfectly.
Okay, I see myself typing. I see the word count going up.
But go deeper. Feel the calm clarity of it being done. Feel the satisfaction. You're preloading the success into your neurology. You're creating the mold.
Okay, it feels good. It feels finished. Step 4.
Step 4. Choose one right action. This is the bridge. What is the one physical thing, big or small, that proves this ideal of focus is true?
Okay. If my word is focus, my action is I will put my phone in do not disturb mode for 2 hours straight.
Perfect. It's tangible. It's binary. You either do it or you don't.
Step 5.
Step 5. Choose one relationship action.
Yep.
We're social creatures. Heinel emphasizes that the individual is a channel for the universal. If you block the channel to others, you block the power to yourself. So who can you offer harmony to today?
Even if I'm focused.
Yes, harmony helps focus, conflict destroys it, so maybe send a text to your partner. Or smile at the barista.
Okay. I will send a supportive text to a friend who's struggling.
Excellent. Generosity is a sign of power. Only a person who has enough can give.
Step 6.
Step 6. Remove one contradiction. This is the drift check. Identify one thing you usually do that cancels out your progress.
Okay. My contradiction is opening news sites when I hit writer's block.
That is the leak in your boat. So decide to drop it, just for today. Say, today when I get stuck, I will stand up and stretch instead of opening a new tab.
That's powerful. It's conscious subtraction. It's weeding the garden before the weeds grow.
Exactly.
And step 7.
Step 7. Calm commitment. Close with a statement of intent. Look yourself in the mirror, metaphorically or literally, and say, I am the architect of my day.
I am the architect of my day. I love that. It frames the whole thing. You're not a victim. You're the architect.
And then you stand up and you go. You don't linger. You start the engine.
Now, this sounds great, but I know human nature. Even with a method like this, people make mistakes. Let's talk about common mistakes and fixes. What's the biggest pothole people fall into?
Mistake 1. Thinking without doing. We touched on this. You visualize the focus, you feel great, and then you just sit there.
You feel productive because you thought about being productive.
Exactly. It's a mental trap. The fix is, action is the bridge. You must physically move to ground the energy. A good rule is, if you have an idea, take the first step within 5 minutes, even if it's just opening the document.
Mistake 2.
Letting the senses dictate truth. This is pure Hanel, and it's the hardest one. You look at your bank account, you see a low number, and you say, I am poor. You look at the scale, you see a high number, and you say, I am fat.
But the number is low. That's a fact. We can't just ignore reality.
It's a fact of the past. It is the harvest of past seeds. It's not the truth of the future. The mistake is letting the current appearance dictate your future potential.
So how do we fix that without being delusional?
The fix is to trust the law of the seed. If you plant corn, corn will come, even if you don't see it above the ground yet. You acknowledge the current state. Okay, the account is low, but you do not let it define your identity. You say, that is the past. My actions today are building the future. That requires serious mental discipline.
That is why it's called a master key, not a novice key. It's mental athletics.
Mistake 3.
Impatience. We want the oak tree tomorrow. We live in an Amazon Prime world. We want same-day delivery on character transformation.
The fix.
Adopt the pace of nature. There's a great line from the ancient texts. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. If you dig up the seed every hour, you kill it. You have to trust the process.
Mistake 4.
Fighting the old. This connects to the Tao. You spend all your energy fighting your bad habits, hating yourself for smoking, hating yourself for being lazy.
And what you resist persists. It
Yeah.
takes up all your mental space. Exactly. You're feeding the monster with your attention. The fix is, do not fight darkness. Turn on the light. Focus entirely on building the new habit. The old one will die of starvation if you stop feeding it attention.
And the final mistake.
Isolation. Thinking you have to do this all by your sheer, gritty willpower alone. Like it's you against the universe.
That sounds lonely and exhausting.
The fix is to realize you are a channel. The universal mind, or infinite energy, whatever term you prefer, is always flowing. You are not creating the energy, you're just directing it. It's like sailing. You don't create the wind, you just set the sail.
That's a relief. It takes the pressure off. You just have to keep the sail trimmed.
It is a partnership with the universe.
Let's bring this all home. We've covered a massive amount of ground today. We've gone from the Watchman to the drift to the daily method. Let's recap the core takeaways before we sign off.
Right, let's distill it down to the absolute essentials. First, the world within is the blueprint for the world without. If you want to change the building, you have to change the blueprint.
Got it.
Next, attention is the tool. You must be the watchman at the gate.
Okay.
Third, the ideal must be clear and specific. It's about identity, who you are, not just what you want.
Right character.
Fourth, action must align with the ideal. Faith without works is dead. You need inner direction plus outer proof.
The bridge.
Fifth, drift is the enemy. We are pulled by biology and habit unless we intervene with structure.
The wobbly wheel.
Sixth, a daily method bridges the gap between theory and life. Small, repeatable steps.
The cure for drift?
And finally, consistency is the key. It is the water that makes the seed grow.
It really is a system. It's not just positive thinking, it's positive engineering.
It is the architecture of being.
I think that's the perfect place to land. We've gone from the abstract to the concrete. We've given you the blueprint. Now the rest is up to you.
It always is.
Before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought.
A closing benediction, if you will. Will you find the stillness to hear your own wisdom? May you have the courage to build the life you imagine. May your inner world be a place of peace and your outer world a place of proof. You hold the key. Use it.
Thanks for being here. If you want the full series, check the playlist, and please like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Hashtag on-screen text overlays. 1. World within creates world without. 2. Attention controls the gateway. 3. Inner direction plus outer proof. 4. Visualization needs right action. 5. Character is the true ideal. 6. Drift is the enemy of focus. 7. Harmony is power, not weakness. 8. Small actions build big results. 9. Consistency unlocks the master key. 10. You are the architect of today.